On a mostly clear sky Sunday afternoon, I'm meteorologist Rod Hill coming to you from Vancouver, Washington. We'll give you an update of what we expect this upcoming week, which has kind of a typical mix of ups and downs in terms of high temperature flow in the 7 day forecast. One of the headlines is that, and this makes sense because it's July, and July often gives us very little precipitation. The weather models, generally speaking, don't show any rain in Portland through at least the 17th day of July. That's a week from this coming Thursday. And you have to wonder if this is going to be one of those Julys where you only get a trace of moisture or maybe 5/100ths of an inch or what have you. But the forecast is all dry this coming week and much of next week as well. Now, on the left, this is July 15th. This is the European upper level flow pattern for that specific day, Tuesday the 15th, week from this Tuesday. And what I wanted to point out, see this high pressure system, the enclosed contour, it's a 594 high, basically centered over California and Nevada. And while this doesn't show incredibly strong ridging to the north of the high, in fact, which shows that we have somewhat decent high upper level height, but more of a zonal flow, my point is it catches my eye that this center of heat, kind of a heat dome, if you will, has migrated and is setting up out west. And it wouldn't take much fluctuation to find ridging and heat moving all the way up into Oregon and Washington. So we'll keep an eye on that. In the meantime, what a beautiful day. What a nice July 4th weekend. Because of the cloud cover back on July 4th, Friday, it was only, I think, what, 71 degrees, I believe was the high temperature. And then we were in the upper 70s yesterday. Portland was 79 on Saturday. And today it looks like we're going to be mid 80s for a high temperature. The sunshine over the city from the Portland Spirit landing camera on the Tilcomb Crossing and some folks out enjoying some boating, it looks like. Okay, all of this update brought to you by the Momentous Wealth Podcast. Listen on Apple Podcasts, listen on Spotify for a variety of investment topic podcasts meant to educate you. Brought to you by Momentous Wealth Management, a local firm licensed in Oregon and Washington. Okay, it is 3 o'clock. So these are the 3:30 temperatures now. 84 in Portland. I'd forecast to 84. It looks like we're going to be 85 or 86. 84 in Salem, 85 up in Woodland. Really nice warming weather. Here's a quick look at other temperatures around the Northwest. Seattle cooler, 77. Everybody has sunshine. Visible satellite picture is basically clear. 60s over at the coast. It's 91 down in Medford. Also 91 degrees out in the Dalles, by the way. Okay, here's that visible satellite picture. Notice how this is just clear. It's going to loop one more time. It looks like a little wave of cloudiness pushing south, cumulus clouds across Washington, but all clear off of the Oregon coast. And if you look at the 500 millibar flow, there's a weak cutoff low just off the coast of California. It's not producing any moisture, really not even producing any cloudiness at this point. And you can see some ridging in the split flow up over our area. It looks like we'll be right around 90 degrees tomorrow and on Tuesday. So with that said, in a dry forecast, sunny skies at least the next 2 days, the big story is simply the temperature. So here's the national blended model and your Monday projected highs. This shows 85, 86 up around Seattle, shows upper 80s in Kelso Longview, shows 90, 92 in Portland down through Salem, 94 degrees when you get down south of Lane County. And then you've got 90s and even 100 degrees in parts of southwestern Oregon. This shows upper 90s, 98, 98, 97, 96 out through Pendleton and the Columbia Basin. Tuesday, 100-degree temperatures in the Columbia Basin, 103, 101 in Pendleton. Some other temperatures going as high as 104. Another day of upper 80s to about 90 from Portland down through Salem and Eugene. Mid 80s in Seattle, mid 80s in Kelso Longview. 90 down in Lane County. That's Eugene. 60s and 70s along the coast. Now, Wednesday, we cool down. There's a little wave of cooler weather. Right now, it looks like we could start off partly cloudy Wednesday morning, then actually cloud over during the day, hold in the 70s for much of the Willamette Valley, and then start off with cloudiness Thursday, and then Thursday clears, and we warm up going into the upcoming weekend. But here's the cool down on Wednesday. 70 up around Seattle, 77, 79, 75 actually from Portland down into about 81 degrees in Eugene. low 90s down in the southwestern Oregon, back down to 94, 91, 93 in the Columbia Basin. So that's a nice break from the heat that we get midweek. Thursday is a day that's going to be a little bit warmer, with some clearing skies in the on the west side, but only upper 80s, maybe shy of 90 out across eastern areas of our state. Here's 77 Thursday up in Seattle and low 80s from Portland down to Eugene. And then we start to warm back up. Here comes Friday, right about 90 in Portland. Pick out your city real quick. Here comes Saturday. Right now, models take Saturday down a little bit. So instead of maybe 90 on Friday, 92, 87, 89 in Portland, still 90 down in Eugene, nearing 100 degrees out in the Columbia Basin. And then we get warmer here Sunday, and here's Monday, showing, well, it could be hotter than this. This shows upper 90s out in the Columbia Basin, could be 100, shows about 90 in Portland, Salem. So, like, other than it's a warm to hot week, except for the cool down on Wednesday and Thursday, which is what I hope you got out of that. Here's the flow pattern, and I'll go through this quick. We just saw this cutoff low off the coast of San Francisco, a little bit of ridging on the top side of that coming into the northwest. So that's today. Here's tomorrow, cutoff low, kind of weak ridging, may hit at 90, may not. Tuesday, I feel is the same. And then here's a little bit of a drop on Wednesday. See, the main drop is up to our north. So here's Wednesday, 91, 88. That's still a 585 pressure height, which tells me as a forecaster, remember, we haven't talked about this in a while, but when you look at a contour of upper level 500 millibar, 18,000 feet flow patterns, when 576 height contour is north of Portland, then areas from Portland southward are typically dry. Typically. The exception is if you get into a scattered convective activity pattern with thunderstorms, then you can get some moisture. But in terms of what we call synoptic fronts, cold fronts coming in off the Pacific, the rain would be well to our north. So we're dry this coming week, but we do get into some of this cooler weather on Wednesday and Thursday. Doesn't show up much there. And then just like that, Friday, see the ridging is really up over Idaho and up into Montana. But it looks like we could be close to 90 for a couple days. And then here's that rebirth. This is this coming Sunday, the 13th. 594 highs settling out over California, which is what I showed you to start. So this bears watching because there's a mountain of heat to our south, and it wouldn't take much for that heat to really expand northward, and we would have a little mini heat wave. So we'll keep an eye on that. Again, that's a 594 high over California, Nevada, this coming Sunday, the 13th. Okay. With all that said, let's go around the horn. There's not a lot to get into, right? This time of the year. It's just the way it is. Here's Medford, 103 Monday, 96 Tuesday, 91 Wednesday. So there's that midweek cool down, even in southwestern Oregon, and then back up to upper 80, or excuse me, upper 90s to about 100 this upcoming weekend. Beautiful weather over in Bend, but hot. 96 today. Interesting. They're showing the chance of some convective thunderstorm activity Tuesday. Monday 96, Tuesday still hot, humid, thunderstorm chance, and then a break in the heat, mid 80s on Wednesday, Thursday, back up to 90 on Friday and Saturday. Okay. All right. Here's Pendleton, 98 tomorrow, 101 Tuesday, and then again the heat breaks midweek. 90 Wednesday, 86 Thursday, warming back up after that. Okay. Seattle, 83, 83 the next 2 days. Chance of showers to our north with that cloudiness coming in with the cool push on Wednesday, down to 70, 74 Thursday, then warming back up and not getting crazy hot after that. Okay. Salem, 86, 93 tomorrow, 90 Tuesday. Back-to-back 90-degree days coming to start the week. There's the Wednesday break in the heat. 78 to 81 Thursday, warming back up to 90 after that. Eugene's going to be the same. 93 Monday, 90 Tuesday. There's the break from the heat. There's the 90s going into the weekend. Okay. Here's North Bend, 64, 62 the next 2 days. Some clouds on Wednesday, and then back to a couple sunny to partly cloudy days and generally 60s going into the weekend. Astoria's probably going to be the same. Yeah, mainly 60s. It does show a 70-degree Friday. Friday is a day that looks like we get a north-northeast wind flow. So that's what the models are picking up on to give Astoria, or Seaside, this is actually a sunny 70-degree Friday upcoming. All right. Well, just like that, here is your 7-day forecast, courtesy of Hazeldale Tire Pros up here in Vancouver off of the I-5 side. So 85, maybe 86 this afternoon, wrapping up our July 4th weekend. Right about 90, give or take, on Monday and Tuesday. All sunny. Wednesday, becoming cloudy during the day. Temperatures hold 77. Thursday's clouds, developing sun, popping to 80. And then right now I've got 92 on Friday, 87 on Saturday. It would be 88 on that following Sunday. Remember going into not this coming week, but the following week, we have that 594 high setting up over California. Just watch because it's very possible that that amplifies itself northward. And if that's the case, we would at least have a run of some mid 90s and maybe even hotter than that. Again, that's not this coming week, but the following week. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm meteorologist Rod Hill, and I thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. It helps me out. You'll be notified when I post, and I will talk to you soon.